Welcome to the Advancing Surgical Care podcast, brought to you by ASCA, the Ambulatory Surgery Center Association. ASCA represents the interests of outpatient surgery centers of every specialty and provides advocacy and resources to assist them in providing safe, high-quality, cost-effective patient care. As with all of ASCA's communications, please check to make sure you are listening to or viewing our most up-to-date podcasts and announcements.
Hello and welcome to the Advancing Surgical Care podcast. My name is Bill Prentice. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Ambulatory Surgery Center Association, or ASCA. My guest today is Beth LaBouyer, the Executive Director of the California Ambulatory Surgery Center Association, or CASA. Today is Tuesday, September 16th, and Beth and I are both in Washington, D.C., where we're joined by more than 100 ASCA members who traveled here to participate in ASCA's National Advocacy Day, meeting with upwards of 90 members of Congress and their staff to solicit their support for ASC issues. I've asked Beth to join me because she will be retiring in December after more than 21 years of leading CASA. And since it's no exaggeration to say that her contributions to the ASC community have been immeasurable, I couldn't pass up on the chance to have her share some parting thoughts with the entire ASCA membership. I'd also like to add that while Beth is here this week in her capacity as the leader of the California State ASC Association, she's also here as a volunteer advocate for ASCA, serving on our Government Affairs Committee. With her retirement just months away, nobody would fault her for cruising to the finish line. But that's not Beth. Just about a week ago, she led the California State Association's very successful and impactful annual conference, and now this week, she's here in Washington, D.C. When I first came to ASCA as CEO some 15 years ago, I was given a short list of names of people that I was told had exceptional knowledge and experience in the ASC community, and I was encouraged to reach out and develop relationships with these people to better understand the challenges in front of me. And Beth LaBouyer's name was at the top of that list, and I'm so grateful that it was. Beth's been a great leader, a trusted advisor to so many of us, superstar advocate for this community, and a touchstone of knowledge and judgment on a wide range of issues. I'm proud to call her my friend, and I'm also glad to have her here today for this opportunity to talk about her legacy and her thoughts about the future of ambulatory surgery. So Beth, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bill.
So Beth, as I just mentioned, I'm eager for you to share with our listeners some of the highlights of your time at CASA and your thoughts about the future of ambulatory surgery. But before we begin, could you take a couple of minutes and talk about the trajectory of your career and how it took you from nursing to an administrative position in an ASC to leadership at the California Ambulatory Surgery Center Association?
Of course, Bill. My story is not much different than a lot of ASC RNs out there, and it still repeats daily in the ASC world. I started as a surgical RN, and that led me to a position in clinical leadership and quickly to the administrator. In my new position as administrator, I learned about CASA in their upcoming annual meeting. So 2 months into my role, I went to CASA, and the leadership there just took me under their wing and became my mentors. They made sure that I thrived in my role at the surgery center, and they remained my lifeline. From that time on, I stayed involved with CASA and eventually got elected to the board of directors. And during my time on the board, the organization decided to hire an executive director. In the beginning, it was just a part-time position, and it was perfect for me. So I took on that role, and over the years, the position just grew and evolved into a full-time position that it is today. Since then, it's been my mission as the executive director to continue that culture that first welcomed me by providing leadership and connectivity so folks that are new to the ASC community can thrive and have a place to get their questions answered.
Well, Beth, that's the story you tell about your involvement and where it can lead is one that we see replicated all the time, that once someone becomes a volunteer and becomes active in the association, there are just so many other things that they can do where they can have an impact. And so you're obviously a great example of that. Before we go on, though, I have to take a short pause to hear a message from our podcast sponsor. Stand by and we'll be right back.
This recording of the Ambulatory Surgery Center Association is being brought to you by Surgery Partners, a leading operator of surgical facilities and ancillary services with more than 200 locations in 33 states. Surgery Partners offers multiple types of healthcare services that deliver high-quality healthcare in a convenient and cost-effective manner. To learn more, visit surgerypartners.com.
So Beth, before the break, we were talking about how you got to where you are. And it's no secret in the ASC community that CASA, under your leadership, has become one of the most successful and effective state associations in the country. Now, obviously, California is a big state with many surgery centers, but that only partially explains the growth and success of CASA. Can you talk for a couple of minutes about some of the milestones that you achieved in terms of membership and association resources over the past 21 years?
I've spent a lot of time reflecting on this over the past few months and the journey and what CASA has done. And when you think back over 21 years and reflect on how far the ASC world has come, it's been so much fun to be a witness to the growth of the community and the complexity of the procedures that we're doing. When I started, CASA had 150 members, and today we are at 450, and they're all active and engaged. We've also helped to strengthen the association financially and add resources for our members like benchmarking and our salary survey that really is very California specific. And we, of course, have put a tremendous emphasis on education efforts, advocacy, often in collaboration with ASCA. And it's wonderful to have that resource where we are collectively working together, problem solving, where we can help be part of making a difference from a national perspective, such as today when we're here in DC, talking to all of our legislators.
And that's great because it is really important. I mean, what we do at ASCA on the national level and what you and the other state associations do on the state level really are so important in terms of protecting the ASC model. And the example I always use that belonging to only either your federal association or your state association would be like only insuring one half of your car. Just doesn't make sense because there are risks all the way around. So the work that you do is really obviously critically important.
Exactly. Both are so important, and it's just critical that we're involved at both and all working together.
Right. So what I'd like to do now is talk about your approach to leadership and advocacy. Who or what inspired you during your career? And is there any management or leadership advice that you have for anyone about to assume a leadership position, volunteer or otherwise, in the ASC community?
What I have learned from the ASC world, and especially in my role as executive director, I've had the incredible privilege of learning from somebody new every couple of years because we have rotating presidents and rotating board. And that's what I would encourage folks that are involved is to glean from the value of the networking with others in the ASC industry because we're unique, because competitors collaborate in the ASC world. And I think that's an incredible advantage to learn from so many out there that have that experience. And not to be repetitive, but I think a great way to accomplish that is by volunteering and being involved not only, again, at your state association, but also at ASCA, because you'll make lifetime friends as well.
Agreed. And I have to just echo, I learn something every day from one of our volunteer leaders and the fact that they are not sui generis, that they come from different backgrounds. There's doctors, there's nurses, there are finance people, there are representatives from individual single specialty surgery centers and large corporate management companies. There's just so many different perspectives and backgrounds to learn from that it's a really cool space in which to operate. Beth, you and I can both remember when a big portion of our time was spent explaining what an ambulatory surgery center is and why patients and policymakers should have confidence in the safety and quality of care that they provide. And over time, I think it's safe to say we've overcome much of that as an obstacle, in part due to our mutual advocacy efforts in California and nationally, and in part because of just the tens of millions of Americans who have received exceptional medical outcomes in surgery centers. So today we still have some of that challenge, but it's got a bit different. Obviously, we have a lot of headwinds like staffing, particularly as it relates to anesthesia, adequate levels of reimbursement, regulatory compliance issues, and more. How would you prioritize the challenges in front of us, and where, in terms of advocacy, do you think we need to focus our time and resources?
Well, Bill, I agree with you about your point about overcoming what is an ASC question. And individuals are finally understanding what surgery centers are. I think COVID really helped open the eyes of a lot of folks out there and help them understand the role we play in healthcare. But back to your question about focusing resources, I would say from a federal perspective, improving reimbursement, and focusing on the quality reporting need to remain a priority. I'm sure staffing will continue to be a challenge, especially as it relates to providing anesthesia. It's clearly a huge issue, and I think all parties are going to have to collectively work together to find some resolution. From a California perspective, I think we have a couple of priorities. Insufficient Medi-Cal reimbursement is going to always remain a priority, especially in California as the eligibility roles continue to be expanded. And as you know, CASA has been working hard to allow certain cardiology procedures to be performed in the ASC setting, and we're making some inroads. California has unique challenges, and that's in terms of getting these procedures approved, but I think we will have success in the future. I was really hoping we could get it resolved before my retirement, but nonetheless, we're still working on that one.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, California is its own thing in so many ways. Obviously, the fourth largest economy in the world and so progressive in some ways, but then obviously not in things like these cardiology procedures and the difficulty in getting some of these things approved at the state level. Obviously, an interesting dilemma that you've been dealing with. California is also kind of the home of technology and software development. And one of the issues on the horizon for surgery centers and the entire healthcare system is the advent and adoption of artificial intelligence, or AI. It's going to impact everything from patient intake to administrative oversight to clinical operations and billing. Do you have any thoughts about the opportunities and potential pitfalls of this technology as it moves into our space?
AI is complicated in many ways, and there's been a lot of discussion around it. It's the buzzword. I think there's a lot of exciting opportunities and a lot of innovations that can have a profound impact for surgery centers. I also think it goes without saying that on the opportunity side, there's a huge potential for improving operating efficiencies, everything from patient intake to revenue cycle management to clinical care. I've been hearing examples of where AI can look at your preoperative risk assessments and flag potential complications. And of course, you've got the surgical component with robotics and all of that. At the same time, we probably need to go slow and be mindful of the challenges. And probably foremost among them are issues related to privacy and the way in which things can be manipulated with algorithms. So although we are highly regulated, I think we have to be very careful as we integrate AI into our daily operations.
Yeah, that's a good perspective, and I appreciate hearing that. Beth, as always, you've been generous with your time and willingness to share your thoughts and wisdom. Before we conclude, I'm sure I'm not alone in wanting to know what you have planned for the next chapter of your life. Can you share any of your plans with us?
Well, Bill, I do get asked that question a lot. And the simple answer is I really just want to take some downtime and make time for my family. I want to be able to enjoy my granddaughter and children and just reconnect with everyone.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to thank you again, not only for being here this week to participate in our advocacy efforts, but also for all you've done and contributed to the ASC community. One thing I know for sure is that your contributions will live on long after your time with CASA has ended. So on behalf of so many, I want to leave you with our fondest wishes for you and your family in the years ahead, and I hope you won't be a stranger.
Thank you, Bill. And thank you to everybody at ASCA. You've all been so kind to me, and I'm better for having our working relationship and our friendship.
Now, before concluding, I would like to acknowledge the support of our podcast sponsor, Surgery Partners, a leading operator of surgical facilities and ancillary services with more than 200 locations in 33 states. Surgery Partners offers multiple types of healthcare services that deliver high-quality healthcare in a convenient and cost-effective manner. To learn more, visit surgerypartners.com.